Peace. Come on in here. This is gonna be a good one. Let's give an honor to Source. Give an honor to the ancestors, known and unknown. Most importantly, you. You know, I gotta start this off. Bravo. Look at where you are. Not only look at where you are, but this is gonna be an interesting topic. I get a lot of clarity. Been getting a lot of clarity through this Scorpio season. A lot of transformational moments, a lot of shifts, a lot of things coming up emotionally, ancestrally, a lot of things from the depths, a lot of things that, which really the big topic that I'm going to be speaking about is in regards to how it can be very challenging and that process looks different for everyone. How we truly let go of other people. And so that process, because I can speak on, I'm gonna be basically speaking on from my experience, but that process in itself, we were shown a lot of what kept the dysfunctionality going through developmental process of emotional connections with people, family members, but we were never shown how and what that process looks like. The grieving process of letting go of your old self. You know, this healing journey has shown me it's like that process for me could look totally different to you. But I'm here to let you all know it's like where you are now, where you're coming out of, whether you're in a storm, you still are a rainbow in someone else's storm, because how you've gotten through it, how you maneuvered, how you navigated, how you shifted and through all of this is very vital to where you are, where you're going, and know that some places on your journey, you deserve a resting spot. Notice how, cause I'm just flowing out. Notice how, and it's funny. We took a trip the other day, and I realized how through certain journeys apart places on your journey, they have rest stops. Those of you that aren't familiar, because I don't know if people that aren't familiar with, places like in the Americas, they have these places like rest stops. And these rest stops consist of your vending machine, your snacks, if you got to use the bathroom, and so, some people stay over or whatever, but the rest stop is so significant to where the topic I'm going to talk about. And that rest stop is very significant on your journey. It's like how we have to rest, heal from the very people who have inflicted this pain. And that process for me, I was expressing to my partner how a lot of stuff, has been coming up, and just how I've been applying it. Sometimes we can beat ourselves up just because of where we are. And there's a lot of things that came up, and I expressed to people on this healing journey, that shit, it literally happens in layers. You get to one place, and you get to another place, you're like, oh yeah, and see, you're resting, but that resting spot, that destination, or that stopping place isn't the all be all. So that being said, this goes back to in the process of letting go of those very people that we love the most, because we've been so consumed and programmed by the dysfunctionality and breaking generational chains and curses. So my 34th birthday solar return was the 14th of this month. And, you know, seeing how far I've come just mentally, um, spiritually on the path of gaining a peace of mind again. Having to go through all the mental clutter, having to reassess my whole life, having to review my whole life, having to reflect on my whole life, the people, the places, their environments, what to trust, who to trust, trusting in myself again, loving myself again, honoring those parts of myself that I wanted to hate, that was projected onto me that I should hate, that I should not accept, that I should not speak about. So on that part, because I don't mind sharing this with y'all, that on my 34th birthday, I actually talked to the mother that I came through, and it took me 34 years to actually let her know, express to her what hurt me. And when I mean what hurt me is in a sense of like, and I tell people, having those uncomfortable conversations. Even though we're at a distance, I still had to have the courage, because my inner child that was still holding on to these things that I realized like I'm still healing through and healing from this individual. Seeing past the mother role and seeing the fact of, okay, this is still a person or a being who individually has their life, has consequences, has karma to clear, has things again to do outside of the mother and son dynamic. But what I had to acknowledge is that the mother and son dynamic that was developed wasn't all unicorns and fucking, glitz and glam or whatever. No, the truth of the matter is that I expressed to her like the things that were said when I was young, how I was treated, the things that did not sit well with me, felt good or empowered me in a way. And then even expressing all these things to her, I realized how I also still in that process, because the healing process is like when you're setting boundaries, you're also telling people like, I had to tell her I never felt safe around you. I mean, this was one of the most challenging conversations that I had to have, because here it is, some people are like, oh, that's your mother. And see, that's the fucking problem. That's the issue right there with society and humanity, is that you may brush stuff up under the rug and water, oh, it's just water under the bridge, but everyone's not the same. And this is not to devalue, discredit anyone, to slander their character. No, it's the reality and actuality that as a kid, when I was verbally abused, when I didn't have the space to speak my emotions and express my feelings unapologetically, or to feel that sense of fulfillment, or to express myself in a creative way, in a creative, just in an honest manner, where it wasn't shunned or devalued, or I wasn't cussed out, or I wasn't attacked. And so in that, it led to me just, telling her like, hey, I'm going to say this. I need no interruptions, because you're talking about something that I have never done in almost, with our interactions, it took 34 years to where I can now just, and it's what's kind of disappointing or sad in a way. It's like with some people, you can't even have this interaction face to face because of the triggering, or because of their unhealed, wounds, or how certain things will illuminate what they're fighting against. But in that conversation, I'm just gonna mention certain things. In that conversation, I let her know, like, you know, it was not okay and not fair that, I know you had your woundings, or I know you went through stuff with men, but I no longer would be the scapegoat, or, I was a scapegoat for that. You having to go through things, abusive things with men, and then as a man or as a little boy, that rage that you kept bottled up and those things you experienced, I was the scapegoat for that. I was verbal, verbally abused and attacked for that. I was uh, getting ass whoopings for that, you know, or just basically I was the sponge for those things, and a lot of us were. So with that, um, in the places where I expressed to her, like, I'm healing from you. And a lot of us don't want to ignore this, but that's the truth. The very people that you deemed that you felt loved you, but in reality it was in a narcissistic, controlling way, emotionally manipulative way. And I can even speak on topics to where it's like, we want to ignore that, but in reality, these are the very people we are healing from. And we've been around, you're talking about years and years and years of dysfunctionality, emotional instability, spiritually harming ourselves, then carrying those burdens and moving forward, and then physically harming ourselves, not feeling good enough. People that have gone through depression and carrying all those repressed and suppressing these emotions and feelings, not really ever having those conversations with those very people. I challenge you to do so. And sometimes it may look different, but I had to do that. I had to do that because how could I ever move forward with my partner and or, with, my princess? Because how would it have been fair with myself and or any experience with women, to actually feel like I can feel safe again within my own being, and then protecting my peace. And see, that's the thing that I'm getting at, is that that's the most challenging things that a lot of us, being where we are, 20s, 30s, wherever you are, even people who have kids, sometimes our connections or whatever, they are doomed before they begin because we haven't had these uncomfortable conversations. We haven't assessed these things. We haven't sat down with ourselves enough and really sat with these people and let them know, like, this hurt me, but this won't ever happen again. And so however that looks, sometimes people go away from family or break away and not ever return. Sometimes people give it years, but I realize that a lot of things that was connected to that, the woundings I'm talking about, not just those verbal and physical things, is connected to me even where people thought that getting ass whoopers or being whooped was a normal thing. And you're talking about, I expressed to my partner because our upbringing is the total opposite. But it helps you learn people's love language. And when you're talking about love language, you're also talking about a dysfunctional love or a false wounded love. You're talking about what we deem as love was from wounded people. I expressed to, the mother I came to, I said, hey, you may not ever have this conversation, but I'm the one that's going to have it with you, because no one knows what it took for me to mother and father myself back to this place, to find wholeness, to find a place of peace again. When you're talking about growing up in environments where you didn't really have peace, a lot of us now are in homes now where there is no arguing, there is no competition, there is no dysfunctionality or concern about who's doing this, who's doing that. Just a lot of things centered around that survival aspect. the aspect of, growing up in homes where you're not knowing where your next meal gonna come from. So again, you know, and it goes so much deeper. You're talking about, there was a while my mom was doing her thing in the streets, my grandmother did step up. And what's so amazing about that is like this also how it affected her. Her stepping up, it allowed her to suppress her emotions because she now was in a position where you're talking about mothers and people who, why did you create your children, or why did you do these things when you didn't want to have anything to do with them, or you wanted to choose addictions, or you wanted to live this lifestyle knowing that you didn't want you didn't want any parts of helping and empowering your kids, or teaching them the value of loving themselves or honoring who they are. And so um, there was a guy she was married to at the time, and I expressed this to my partner because it was very challenging. Um, we were young, and he used to grab us by our foot and turn us upside down and whoop us when we were like young. And a lot of stuff that I thought wasn't going to resurfaces. And you're talking about pondering on the fact of people who have, myself, were being whooped, spanked. I remember specifically, you're talking about switches. And those of you that grew up in the South know what a switch is. It's like the bushes where you go get the sticks. Sometimes, people braid them up, and, you get a spanking or you get a whooping. And then people will, like, the dysfunctionality is like, we will see this as being normalized. Like, oh, he don't want to act right. He don't want to do this. Whoop his ass or do this. And we used to really sit here and believe that that has no effect on a child. And people really accept and believe like, oh, those whoopings kept me in line. No, the fuck it didn't. Because you, myself, and you want to lie and tell yourself that didn't hurt you. And in reality, the caregiver that came before you or that gave you that spanking, they've been in their dysfunctionality or consumed by whatever it is, their own darkness, that they have numbed themselves to think that that is normal, to even believe that that is normal, to even think that they're not hurting themselves more than they're hurting you, because that's what's been normalized. It's hurting other people. Hurt people hurt people. So in that, they're thinking that that's normalized, or thinking that that's cool and acceptable. So, um, so a lot of that, again, it's like, it's not personal, but people can see that as punishment when you really don't want to have anything to do with them. Because on this healing journey, like, it took a lot for me to even come to this realization, because I was so consumed by others, people's, like, the inner dialogue that I had. I was so consumed by others, what they deem normal, external beliefs of others, whether it be religion, whether it be other things that kept the loop going. You telling me that it gets that deep. If I don't feel safe around you, and that's my intuition or my spirit of discernment, why would you think that, you as a parent or a caregiver or something, your child will feel safe if you know that these people haven't even done any type of healing, any type of shadow work, or face themselves? And for those that don't know what that is, it means like facing your fears, then having to go through that grieving process of, like, realizing, like, you know what, I can accept that I may not ever see these people again, and I'm okay with that. If that means protecting my peace and me being at peace finally, at whatever age or whatever it is, place I am in my life, so be it. Because the very thing that they're trying to look for, the peace, the sanity, the prosperous, abundant life, they're looking externally for it. So that process looks different. But for me, it's like I get a chance now to even be in my own element, to sit here and be like, wow, whoa, I was really verbally abused, physically abused. But through the suppressing my own emotions and seeing other people suppress, because I learned this behavior, I learned it from somebody. So if they never learn accountability, they will never know what accountability is. So who do you think is here to change that? I'm here to change that narrative, obviously, because it's so much deeper, man. Because we don't. It's like having grown up in these environments, and I can even connect it to like something I was studying today around finally apologizing to myself for letting things go so long. Um, Ridding myself of those energies that kept me in that place of stagnation, thinking that I didn't feel, good enough, or um, the awareness around what success really is, or being fulfilled or whole. So when we're talking about breaking generational chains and curses, you're also talking about that also comes with the people, the environment, the places. It doesn't mean that someday you may return, but we're talking about being in environments and places for so long that people have become so numb and they don't even feel the pain anymore. They just accepted it, their circumstances, their livelihood around that, such as like a poverty mindset or a lack mentality. And this may ruffle feathers, but it's the reality of it. If you're talking about systematically governmental structures that have kept people in a loop of believing that there's nothing outside of food stamps, there's nothing outside of governmental assistance, there's nothing outside of your own creativity, your own limitless ability, your own natural abilities. There's nothing outside of university. And in the reality, and you're talking about having experienced that and how that looks in my childhood, um, going to a refrigerator and see nothing there. And this is not asking for sympathy. This is just me expressing, getting it out to the reality of where I am now and realizing what a survival mentality is and what thriving is, what a lack mentality is and what abundance is. So in that, it's like the difference or the polarity is like you're seeing what and how you were programmed through this, and to see how you're unlearning that process. And in unlearning that process, okay, you uproot yourself, you remove yourself from these places and environments and from these people. And through that, that can be a grieving process. Honoring your emotions, standing up for yourself, assessing those boundaries, because they don't know what that looks like. Then they can't suck you dry. This whatever it is comes with that. So I had to. One thing I was doing today was a topic came up about money wounds or wounds around money insecurities, and I was like, whoa. And so I was like, hold on. I said, hold on. And that's why I was like, this is what a lot of men don't talk about. See, the thing that when let's talk about mommy issues, the thing about those mommy issues is the fact of a lot of men, majority of men in America, or in these, especially majority, especially, we can say a lot of coaches, or just from what my own experience, I can see a lot with melanated men per se. And I don't promote division at all, but I can see the connection because I also know people that just because they don't look like me still may have similar experiences. But from where I'm getting at is that let's talk about the wounds of the mother. and we're talking about the dysfunctional mother. So if this is an emotionally intelligent being or a person that honors their emotions or know what that even looks like or have unhealed aspects or haven't really known what it is to really be their natural self or to be alienated in their own country, alienated or, outcast in their own, since their birth. You're talking about also men who have carried these same emotional resonance, same things, such as myself at that moment, carried these because naturally our dependency was with our mothers first. And so the mother was telling us, what it is to nurture, love ourselves, be with ourselves, honor, nurture ourselves, all those things centered around like the feminine aspect, the feminine principles. Then look at the men. Instead of blaming and pointing the finger when you see on these platforms and all this stuff, these ain't nothing but all these people who are wounded or who's fighting to be seen. And it's probably rooted in whether they mother or father seen them, whether a woman or a man. So the bigger picture to that is that a lot of those woundings, when you're talking about financially, when you're talking about, it's also connected to spirit, to also to the emotional aspect. So this all stems from or is rooted in the wounded mother. And that wounded mother gave birth to that wounded father, the sons. So in that, if there is no acknowledgement of what we are internalizing, if the opposite of that is telling us, oh, just hold it all in, don't express yourself. Express yourself freely because there's this whole concept or this, oh, this person is, they're automatically angry as if we shouldn't feel angered, as if emotions aren't a part of this human experience. So if that isn't something that has been implemented or, the importance of the blueprint of when you came here, when you were birthed here, then you have people who are not in their natural element, that are not even balanced and really being who they came here to be. And so when you see that displayed, you see how um, systematically what you see falling now is that a lot of this codependency systematically or governmentally has kept people in that place of stagnation or feeling that there's nothing outside of the help of people who really don't give a fuck about you or really care. So in that, that creates a cycle or a loop to continue that for the sons and daughters to be like, oh, you can't go outside of that. So then you have, when you're trying to do, um, that's why you see the whole promotion on how the money or certain things keeping people more concerned about external things rather than internal. More focused on external value rather than the value of your well-being. So getting back to like getting through this process of not knowing how you're going to really know who you are if you're not away or finding yourself, you know, and the only way to truly find self is also from the darkness from where you came from. Had we not experienced these people, these environments, how would we have known what it is to make to better ourselves and the environment? How will we really know that what genuine support is? Because again, we've been in stuff so long that we have normalized and accepted like, oh, this is just life. And so the wounds around that I saw growing up is that having seen my mom and grandmother grow up in these survival modes, grow up in these societies where the help came from only people that really didn't look like them. And because in those places, a lot of the help, you're hearing all the gossip, the people that really wasn't genuine, and now you're seeing how the dysfunction poured on to other peoples and affected their mental health, they didn't have environments. They didn't have places around that really cared more to help um, women in their mental health and their well-being. They didn't care for their well-being. It's just a temporary fix to keep them, you know, in a begging state almost. It's not to say it wasn't beneficial because it all served its purpose until now. It's more so, it's like now the well being of people is more important than what you can just naturally give them. If they don't even know that their resources matter, and their resources meaning that who they are, what they came here to do, their emotional aspect of who they are, their mentality, their well being, basically, and all. So, again, now being where I'm at, it's like I had to recognize like why my patterns, why I actually grew up. I didn't have people around me that were responsible with money. I didn't have people around me that were responsible with a lot of things that care for their well being. I didn't have people around me that care for um, others in a way. So, and if they did, it was more so like a, again, dysfunctional way. We want to overlook that, but it will not be overlooked no more because we can't run from ourselves. So, um, the a lot of the financial insecurities and a lot of that stuff I realized was connected to my emotions and the patterns that I gained because trying to feel confident in who I am, trying to know that the fear around, well, if I get this, successful in this or obtain this, do I need to run back and go save people? Do I need to, not pour into myself before I go help others? There's so much around that, man, that again, we don't realize that we're unhealing, like letting go of that false program of what love really is because a lot of people won't accept and like it. But we're talking about a narrative. We're talking about a story that's been pushed so long that if I don't play basketball, if I don't play football, if I don't rap, then I'm not successful. Then I'm not true to myself. Then I'm not the man. Or so many other things. And it's other than that, other narratives that, you know, naturally how we are, how I'm just looked at. Just naturally being confident in my speaking, having to get to that place where um, that not being heard or shunned allows me now to confidently speak and express myself. You know, the wounding around um, seeing my mother, like, let's get to these governmental structures that a lot of people don't want to. It's all been dismantled and brought to light and being exposed. All these things systematically was to keep people in the loop. You're talking about my financial insecurities when I was young begin around child support. Because you're sitting here telling me, well, how is that supporting the child with just finances? What does that do for me emotionally, mentally, when my father is not present? So in that, it's like, well, how can you sit here and convince me that I don't care about these other men? I want to know where my father is. So this is a lot of things that again, these same women who have supported this and then now not realizing the bigger picture into where, and it looks different for everyone. I'm speaking on my circumstances to where I saw that when my mother obtained certain things, I'm like, well, I see now, like, well, are you just receiving that to keep it going? Like, okay, so how is this supporting me? And so if I'm talking about me being an artist and me want to do and explore my creative endeavors, and that child support or those monies or whatever it is not helping towards that, what is it really doing for me? So again, the challenge in all that is a lot to deal with mentally as a child, to where um going into these schools and going into these places where the school and none of that stuff really did. What did it do for me? It didn't teach me to be empowered and to be number one. It was just simply, I felt, programming me to just to stay robotic and stay in line, or do this or else you'll become a failure. What? Huh? Because when I look at a lot of people's life, and most of the people who have went through that indoctrination of what they praise so much as a system, I'm like, well, what did it do for you? How is your well-being? Because it looks to me that you're running a rat race. You're running a race that I see that I've already won, but you're assuming your ego is, you're assuming that you're ahead of me just because of what you have and what you've obtained. And then you look at people as such, or people that are obtaining governmental assistance, below or less. Their value is lower. Middle class, upper class. What is it? I mean, a lot of things I questioned younger, and a lot of things I see what was rooting in why I behaved that way. So again, I saw that, it took, I say maybe a few years ago, the father, like, because we've had interactions and talk, but systematically, that man was on child support till I was like 30, and I'm 34. So just knowing that, and then learning the ins and out to realize, like, if this person doesn't pay it, then they have to go to jail, or then they go to prison. So it's like we don't even see the dysfunctionality in the fact of how that affects everybody, not just one person. Because it's not to say, it's not to say, like, okay, it serves its purpose, but how do y'all not see the loop in that? Again, I don't care if people agree, except I'm seeing the bigger picture, how even Section 8 and all these things that never wanted the man to be in the home, or all these systems that never wanted certain families or tribe to be the oneness, so they can really face things head on. Because see, that division, or that being apart from each other, really never was designed for people to really face themselves and face other people. Because see, all that avoidance, that confrontation that has been avoided, this has built up emotions over time. Not to mention whatever those two caregivers or parents have had going on generationally, ancestrally, that they haven't faced, that they're going on internally. Then that child comes here. Now he becomes, or he or she becomes, another product of a falling fucking system. And then, like I've said, 2 years or whatever, people holding on to something that again is outdated, expired. So we're here to expose that. And so again, it's like stuff being brushed up under the rug, but nobody wants to, oh no, 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 no. Because everybody been doing this and doing that, hot in their hands. But again, going back from my own experience and seeing these things where having seen the wounded woman so much, and now I tell myself I deserve healthy connections. So why wouldn't I let go and close that old chapter? And in that, you can see people desperately trying to cling on. That's how it would look. You will see them energetically trying to cling on, feeling obligated, try to force themselves, like, because of what they went through, going through those same systems that's falling apart. And here we are again, our certain people or people's wanting to hold on to something, and they don't even see how dysfunctional, manipulative, narcissistic structures who give off this false illusion of everything's okay, and it's never been okay. Never care about your well-being as a man or woman. These systems that never cared about the well-being of your kids. That's it is what it is. So why would I sit here and promote and support it? That's why on my journey, I had to experience a lot of these things. Why do I need to do this? Well, who says? So again, what are you driven by? What is your loyalty to? Because all these things, what is your loyalty to though? Your loyalty to dysfunction? To emotional manipulation? What is your loyalty to? Because that ain't love. So again, um, seeing how a lot of that highlighted when it talks about the child support system, seeing how I at a time was codependent or dependent on my mom to help me with certain things. Then you talk about the food stamp. Then you talk about the Section 8. See, we want to just disregard that, but a lot of us naturally or through what we learned was systematically a part of that. And that also was a part of the wounded mother and wounded father because it purposely created division. It purposely uh, all centered around monitoring spirits or monitoring someone, seeing, oh, if this person don't got this, oh, how much you getting? Oh, you know, oh, but we want to disregard that. Oh, we don't want no accountability. Oh no, we don't want that. Men as women. Oh, we don't want that. Because it makes us face the shit that we can't run from them. Now the mask's falling off now. Oh, you didn't think this was gonna ever come out. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Then the ones higher up that's running it, oh, they don't want it. Oh yeah. Falling right from grace. They ever think that it will happen. And you're seeing this shit turn right upside down. And so in reality, again, it's the awareness around the bigger picture of how this has affected everyone. Everyone. You'll keep people on food stamps, but you won't go in these same neighborhoods and teach these people, or you won't go learn how to grow a fucking garden to where you don't ever have to be concerned about that again. Y'all gotta pay attention. Pay attention. Be aware. Because in most of these hoods or neighborhoods and all this other stuff, again, easily a garden can be grown. Then you teach the kids how to grow the garden. Then that cycle continues. Because a lot of what people want to ignore, this is the fear that what's returning. And so again, a lot of what I went to and saw the wounds around that, the beliefs around how money operates, the belief around how women operate, the belief around how life operates, and it was all bullshit. You've been fooled too. You've been bamboozled. So again, the growth from that, the growth from all of that. Why shouldn't we all live in abundance? There's an abundance of land out here, of resources and all like that. No, the goal was to keep certain people and peoples or in places where they feel like they're lacking or they don't have enough. Come on now. All the traveling I do, you got lands over here, uncharted land, stuff that ain't even tampered with, touched. Gardens can easily be grown. People can easily live. Trailers just sitting there. Stuff can easily be. So again, a lot of which is that it's just to bring awareness. It is what it is, but the beauty of all of this is that a lot of what I do share and talk about, again, is centered around to where I'm assessing my own ancestral like curses, or if you want to call them like just dysfunctionality, to where in being shunned or try to be silenced, no, I'm here to speak up. I'm here to bring awareness. And it happens in layers. Like again, it's very challenging to, if you want to grow and expand, that does mean sometimes being uprooted and moved somewhere else. That does mean that sometimes you may not know what it looks like. That does mean that sometimes the support may not come from the very people who right up under your nose or want to, who's really monitoring and don't really want to genuinely support you, it sometimes mean that the best thing you can ever do is just walk away. And I know it's challenging for a lot of people because financially, um, all that. I would have honestly where I'm at. It's like you're talking about the mindset of people who, or where I grew up, is that people can't wait to see someone make it or make it big, and in reality, we all are all of that. It's just where our value lies. People value lie more into money and material things and their own value within themselves, not realizing we all have something and play a vital role in this. Everyone. So that's what the equal playing field. I'm no higher than nobody. I don't know. I celebrate and inspire myself. I put myself up there. And why shouldn't I? Because if I grew up in environments where you had people who never knew what it was to be inspired by others, or if they were inspired, it was external rather than being the inspiration. I am the inspiration that I'm inspired by myself. Shit, to see how far I've come. And we're talking about the mental capacity, the mental clarity that I'm now getting after years and after realizing how much that I need to heal through. And that some people really never get the chance to, and some people really don't even care because they numb themselves. So for me to even get here to see my own growth, to even bring it to the awareness, especially to the young men and to the young women and to the mothers and fathers, because it's if we don't take accountability, how would they know what it is? Because when we give up on ourselves, we it affects everybody. It really does. And again, a lot of things I realize that how much a lot of the insecurities of our people not seeing beyond sports. That shit is old. Seeing beyond um, what's been given to us. Like what about giving to yourself? All handouts ain't good handouts. So, and that we can't blame nobody because a lot of us have just accepted so much to where we got to a place where I can't. I'm at a place now I cannot. I refuse to just realize like how much I've been pouring into other people. I see how vital it is to pour into myself, and I owe it to myself because whoever feels the ways about that, it's not personal. But you're talking about years and years of us always doing for others in a sense to where do you even know what it feels like to be poor into yourself? Do we even know what it is to really show up for ourselves? And a lot of us, and truthfully, a lot of us don't even know what it looks like. And that process, like I said, is different for everyone. But it like my own journey, seeing what from childhood to now, and seeing where my insecurities were, what issues that I developed, how I'm still healing from those things, how I no longer will suppress it because I got to speak about it. I got to create. You're talking about just to see the creations that I made, even with yourself. Like, look how far you've come. You see the stuff that you created. Because we all got skeletons. We all got something to speak about. But just to see the fact of how, um, just making it this far, man. Knowing some people didn't even make it past certain ages, whether they were young or not. And so, again, it's can no one tell you, like, especially when you gain this peace of mind and finally getting back to your this essence of who you are and learning to enjoy life again. And sometimes that in that enjoying life to its fullest and in a harmonious and beautiful place, You got to go through the storm of even getting out of your own way and removing yourself from the very people who kept that narrative going. I'm telling you, it's a process, and a lot of us wasn't shown, so we don't even know like how to go about it. I didn't know how to go about it. All I knew, I just wanted to get the fuck away from people. And then in that, I learned to see myself. I learned to see my part in it, which what I kept going or what I allowed and what I won't. And then I also saw my part in now where I'm at to where what I won't allow, where I can take back my power, call back my power, stand in my power. And in that, setting those boundaries and standing up for myself, it'll show me who's for me. It'll show me who's against me, and in reality, they're against themselves because it's something internalized. But it's very challenging because one of the most challenging thing is with the mother that I came through is that I have to look at the root, and this is the root of the problem. A lot of us don't want to. We want to look past what people have done, and it's not to paint them to be a whatever it is. It's just like when I say I'm healing from people, it's like if I don't do this for me, who will I do it for? In doing it for me, I'm doing it for we. That means the bigger picture. But in that, it's like I've let things slide too long, and a lot of us have. And who are we to blame? Because accountability realizes that you don't blame no one. Um, you take up your own cross, or you take up your own accountability. You start to realize it's you, and you carry it. Um, because again, the narrative was so normalized to carry mom, dad, everybody else burdens, and then you get to this place where you all burnt the fuck out. You burnt out. You burnt out. Then where are these people then? So you deserve people who will be there. So in that, you got to learn what it is to take care of you and be there for you, show up for you, and you will attract others that, hey, are you okay? Are you all right? What can you do? What can I do? Or I'll help you with it. Yes, that is a reality. Yes, yes. That's why all this stuff is falling apart because we have been so used to that. So used to that same pattern that do, burnt out, not even allowing ourselves to rest, not even allowing ourselves to take a moment, to take a break. Because everyone don't know what that looks like. And some of us got to be to show the way. So again, like I had to have that talk with my mom, even though she's at a distance. Same with my dad. I had to because the relationship is different for everyone that I have with everyone, but I have to let them know, like, hey, you may not like or accept this, but it is what it is. But like, I cannot allow this. You're gonna feel the ways, but you gotta face that. But a lot of us as healers or shadow, whatever it is, you deserve a life that is peaceful. And certain environments you will not get that, no matter how much you convince yourself. So a lot of us have been in that uncomfortable space. But a lot of us here, our birthright is peace. So we had to go through those environments, seeing what we had to go through childhood to keep moving forward to see where we're going. And one of the most challenging things is that a lot of people are not going. Some of them won't be a part of it. Doesn't mean we may not return to help. It's important to help yourself too. So I think that's all I'll share with today. But peace and blessings to you all. Just know, like, that's one of the most challenging things that I've seen and experienced with other people. It's like that can be the determining factor for certain relationships, partnerships, whatever. Is that a lot of us have let stuff go along too far. And it's the truth. Whether you have kids by someone, I'm just giving, like, I ain't telling you what to do. I'm just being authentic because look how many people, our grandmothers and great-grandfather, people stayed in stuff traumatically. Like they stayed in it because they didn't know nothing else, or they feared being apart. And a lot of us are here to break that generational curse. You do not always got to be like under people or feel like they above you. No, this is your life. This is your purpose to fulfill, and in that, that's your birthright for real. Because it could have been the best thing I could have ever done, because I wouldn't have known what it is to see what I needed to see. To see the wound, the inner wounds. Because if we're around people so long, it's like we never really get a chance to really see what's going on with us, because we're so consumed by trying to help other people. So y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.